This is another episode of Take Back Your Country, and I'm David Flint. Craig Kelly, who's a member of the House of Representatives, has been blocked for merely repeating the advice of medical experts as to the treatment of COVID-19, the Wuhan virus, the use, for example, of hydroxychloroquine, and also the wearing of masks by children. He's done no more than repeat the expert opinion of highly respected medical scientists in peer-reviewed journals. And for that, the social media has targeted him and blocked him from communicating with many people, up to 100,000 people, for example, in relation to Facebook. But worse has happened recently. YouTube has taken down a speech by an Australian MP, Craig Kelly, to the Australian Parliament. They've refused to allow a speech from our Parliament to go out to people who want to hear exactly what Craig Kelly said. Now, it is interesting that what he is being criticised over, that is, he's being said to have committed the offence of misinformation. That's what the social media is saying. This is identical with the line taken by the American mainstream media, who decided to conduct a continuous campaign against Donald Trump. In many ways, they've given up the role of an independent press, and instead they've decided to become, effectively, the propaganda arm of the American Democratic Party. Now, that's American politics, that's the American media. But here we have in Australia social media gagging an Australian Member of Parliament. Now, this would be, surely, an improper interference with the free performance of his duties as a Member of Parliament. And under Australian law, this is a breach of the privilege of Parliament because it's an improper interference with his duties as a Member of Parliament. Now, he's given notice of that on two occasions. First, when Facebook blocked him, took away his page, all the information on that page, blocked him from reaching 100,000 people. And then when YouTube said they would take down his speech to Parliament from YouTube because they said it contained misinformation, although all he had been saying was something which was a view, an opinion of highly respected medical experts. Very well then. Craig Kelly did what is appropriate. He gave notice of a motion to refer this matter to the Privileges Committee so it could be investigated. But the Speaker has decided on both occasions that he hasn't even shown a prima facie case of breach of privilege. All a prima facie case means is that if everything he alleges were true, it would constitute a breach of privilege. And that, whether what he has said is true, will finally be decided by the Privileges Committee and the House of Representatives. The Speaker is blocking him. What Craig Kelly now needs is the support of a majority of members of Parliament. And you'd think that would be easy to get. This is a very ancient right. It goes back to the time of King Charles I, who, when he found that some members of Parliament were saying things he didn't like, there were 5 members, he came with the army to Parliament to arrest those members. When he came into the chamber, the members had disappeared, he couldn't see them, and he demanded from the Speaker, Speaker Lentil, information as to where the members are. Well, the Speaker said, "I have neither eyes to see nor tongue to speak except as the House directs me." This Speaker decided that he was a servant of the Parliament and that he would only speak even to the King, and he would have been fearful of what the King might have done to him, he would not reveal to the King where the members were. This Speaker stood up for the rights of Parliament against the executive. Well, what we need today is a Speaker who will stand up for that, and failing the Speaker standing up for the rights of Parliament, it's for most of the members of Parliament, a majority of members of Parliament, to at least agree to refer the matter to the Privileges Committee. And if the Privileges Committee agrees, there will be a very significant trial before them and before the House of Facebook, of YouTube, of their executives, with the right to impose penalties if a breach is found, including penalties of imprisonment or a substantial fine. The important thing would be for a ruling from the Parliament that this is a breach of the privileges of Parliament, because somebody has to control the out-of-control social media. They already have done other things. They, for example, when the Hunter Biden laptop emerged and all of the stories emerged which indicated or suggested that the Biden family had for years been treating Congress and the vice presidency as a source of income, a source of massive income, enormous wealth, selling off access and influence to foreign oligarchs, including the Chinese communist oligarchs, for vast amounts of money, so that the Biden family could be enriched in return for this access. And when that came out before the last elections, the social media tried to suppress that. And they even removed the account of a New York newspaper. This is Twitter. They removed the account of the New York Post, or at least suspended it for some days while they were talking about this, while our Miranda Devine, who comes from the Daily Telegraph, was reporting this in the New York Post. There has to be some control. These are massive monopolies. If the Privileges Committee decided here that there was a case for Facebook and YouTube to answer, there would be worldwide attention. And Australia would be showing that at least our MPs, our politicians, have the insides to stand up against the excesses of the social media. So the question now is, do our politicians have enough inside in them? Are they free enough of outside influence to stand up and at least give Craig Kelly a fair go, at least allow the Privileges Committee to investigate whether there has been a breach of privilege, and if so, to allow a trial of Facebook, a trial of YouTube and their executives before the High Court of Parliament, that is, in this case, the House of Representatives. This is a very important principle, and it's time for our politicians to stand up. And it's time, in conclusion, for everyone, for all Australians, to take back Australia. And that is explained in the text which goes with this video. Remember, fellow Australians, take back Australia.